past week, I got diagnosed with strep throat, which absolutely sucks. However, fast forward a couple days later, I'm now recovered enough to where I'm able to make this YouTube video. And that's actually what prompted me to talk about this topic that not enough people in the business, entrepreneur space talk about. And that is the importance of rest. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I've always clung on to the identity of a hard worker, hustle culture, go, 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 David Goggins, Gary Vee, all of that, right? And it was only up until I just recently got sick and now have almost fully recovered in record time, for myself at least, that I realized that that was never the right way to go about things. And at first, it was something that I was very adverse to, right? You always hear these guys, David Goggins, just grind through the pain, all this stuff, right? And there is a time for that. But when it comes to actual physical adversaries and genuine physical sickness and burnout and cortisol and all these things, like that is not something that you can just ignore, nor should you just grind through. And I really, really realized this now that it happened to me and I got sick. But because I didn't do what I normally did of just grind through it, right? Still hit the gym despite being sick and having a fever, and then still working as hard as possible, right? Despite being all sick and just once again having all these symptoms and just feeling terrible. Since I didn't listen to that this time, I actually recovered very, very fast. And just for reference, I used to get strep specifically almost every year up until the point where I was in like 11th grade, which is absolutely crazy. Every single year without fail. I don't know if I'm just genetically prone to it, right? If I just, my immune system was cooked, whatever it was, but I would always get strep. And when I did, it would literally set me out of commission for weeks on end. Like, I kid you not, weeks on end. To where there was a year that was so bad. This was past COVID, where I got COVID, I got strep, like I got all these different things. I was out of school for 4 weeks straight. And across that entire school year, missed 50 days to being sick. 50 absences to being sick, which is absolutely crazy. And I now realize, looking back, I made one really big mistake when I got sick all of those times. And it was the fact that I did not emphasize or prioritize rest enough. When I was going to the gym or really into the gym, even if I was sick, if I was like able to move, I'm like, all right, I'm going to the gym, right? And I would feel good about it. I would feel proud about it. I would feel like, yeah, all these people, like, they're not like me. Like I'm just grinding through it. They don't know me, son. Like all that stuff, right? But it's like that's not a flex. Going to the gym and forcing myself to strain my body, increase my cortisol, heart rate, body temperature, all of this stuff while my body is trying to fight a sickness, it's not cool. It's not good. And it was really an identity thing for me. And that was the thing that I realized. I didn't have the identity of someone who was restful or proud to rest, right? Because I'm like, if I'm not working, right, I'm just, competition's gonna beat me. I just gotta grind through the pain. And once again, like you feel good about it. This also caused some really big problems with my sleep, to where there were seasons of life where I was sleeping on average 4 hours a night, 5 hours max for literally months on end, which is absolutely terrible. And what would end up happening is after a certain point, burnout or sickness would kick in, to where like genuinely my body would shut down and it would take me out for weeks. And once again, looking back, I realized it was because of the fact that I didn't emphasize rest, to where now, after having spoken with a lot of high performance coaches and really starting to realize, rest is actually important. Rest is actually productive. That this time around, when I went to the doctor, I got tested positive for strep throat. I instantly messaged everyone, right? Slack, WhatsApp, everything. Hey, I'm sick. I'm going to have to cancel our calls or move our calls, all this stuff. And I proceeded to just rest. I let my body, first things first, for these past like 4 or 5 days, sleep as long as I wanted. And I'm talking like I literally was waking up at like 1 or 2 p.m. Like I was sleeping like 10, 12 hours plus, just in bed, like with no guilt either and no shame. And that's the key thing, because a lot of us in the entrepreneur space, right? Entrepreneurs tend to feel pride towards work and hustling and grinding. But the problem, once again, is that if your body is physically fighting you to work past that, right? If your body is trying to, or your immune system is trying to kill off a sickness or a disease, and you're simultaneously keeping your cortisol high, not resting, not sleeping enough, all these different things, trying to just work through it, then you are just not going to recover. You're just going to set yourself deeper down the hole to where then you will be like dysfunctional, like fully dysfunctional. And I realize this because looking back, there were times where like, yeah, I was kind of sick and like, yeah, I wasn't feeling great, but like I could technically push through and I would. But then it would get to a point where literally there was periods where I was bedridden for 2 weeks at a time, if not more. And like I genuinely couldn't move. Like it got that bad. And this is talking so much in hindsight because I remember those periods and I remember how commonly my body used to just shut down and fight against me and get sick and all this stuff. And I realized it all could have been prevented or it all could have been at least mitigated a lot by prioritizing rest. So, just for reference, this past week when I got tested positive for strep, all I did was either sleep, drink bone broth, or oatmeal, or just like whatever ChatGPT told me was good for strep, right? Take a ton of supplements, vitamin D, vitamin C, taking zinc, fish oil, have my antibiotics for the strep, taking a probiotic 4 hours after to replace the good bacteria. Like literally everything I could do my entire day, these past 5 days, have all just been how can I like recovery max? Not how can I work, not how can I go to the gym, nothing like that. Literally just how can I recover? What can I eat that would help me recover? What can I drink? What can I supplement? What can I take? And what can I do? And all that summed up to was vitamins, right? Vitamins and the medicine, all that stuff. Drink hot things that are soothing to the throat, not high, not going to cause inflammation, all of that. And sleep a ton, sleep a ton, and do not do hard stimulating things, right? So I wasn't scrolling. I also wasn't working whatsoever. This is actually my first time I opened up my laptop to record this video in a couple days. And now I'm kind of having to face the backlog of millions of messages and WhatsApp and Slack. It's like, woo, there's a lot to catch up on. But now I'm a lot more primed to be able to handle that. And one belief that I used to have, right, was, oh, yeah, but if I just push through this, right, I'm going to get more work output done, right? And the fact is, that's actually not true. And I realize this because when you look at, let's say, if I was sick and I would get strep before and I was sick for a week and I would just work through it, then I'd be still kind of sick in week 2, work through it. Week 3, I would be completely taken out, like completely bedridden, completely useless. And then week 4, I would be like, okay, kind of recovering. And then week 5, let's say I'm back to normal state. That's how it used to be working throughout it. But the problem is that if you work through sickness or when your body is truly, truly just in a state where it is like in under stress, right? Genuine stress in the sense that it's fighting off a sickness, like your cortisol is way too, like there's genuine physical symptoms. That's where the worst work output that you can do will be achieved there. And same thing in the gym, right? The worst gains or your worst workouts will be when you're sick, right? So, yes, could you technically go to the gym? Yes, right? You go to the gym for a week and then week 2, but then week 3, you physically have to rest. You physically can't go to the gym. Then week 4, you kind of get back at it. Those 3 weeks where you were hitting the gym or even working, those aren't actual good lifts. And it's not going to be actual good work. You'll never work as good as if you were healthy, right? As if your physiology was in check. And once I realized that, it's like, I'm going to give myself the permission to take these 4 or 5 days completely off. Not half in, half out. Oh yeah, I'm half resting, half working. It's like I need to go full rest mode because when I am fully recovered, my work output will be so much higher quality and I will be able to work way longer hours and do way more and way better work within those hours as well. To where when you look at it, if you work through, let's say, a sickness versus attacking the sickness with full vigor, right? All your attention is just towards rest, recovery, getting better. Versus half of your attention is towards rest and recovery, half of it's kind of towards work, you're still going to the gym, this and that. The actual excuse me, the actual end output that you will get is actually less when you fight through the pain. Because now, looking at this time versus all the times in the past when I got sick, I basically recovered in 4 to 5 days to where now I'm at 80, 90% within these next 2 days. I'm still taking my antibiotics. Like I should be up to 100%. But that said, now that means that this upcoming week and next week and the following week after that can be filled with actual productive work, right? And I could get back in the gym and actually train hard versus, oh yeah, I was kind of working these past 4 days, but then I need to still kind of work for the next 5 days. And then the following week, I'm kind of working. And then the next week, I'm like completely bedridden because my body is just shutting down. And then I have to go into recovery mode. And it's like, I'll actually get more done by resting than if I didn't. And that is the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to realize from this video and hopefully take away from this video is that rest when your body genuinely, like physiologically needs it, right? This isn't mental things like I don't feel like working, I don't want to work. Like that's not what I'm talking about. That's where you could listen to the David Goggins on your right shoulder, right? And just be like, no, just work through it. You're just, yeah, you're just making excuses. But when your body, like actually physically, like you show symptoms, physical symptoms of your body fighting something, whether that's a disease, whether that's a sickness, whether that's your cortisol, whatever it may be. And I actually have a Whoop tracker which helps me actually track this, so I can see, my HRV, my resting heart rate, my sleep, my recovery, all my stats are getting worse and worse. This is something that I actually need to pay attention to, and resting right now will be the most productive thing that I can do. So with that said, I hope this video was valuable. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.